What Lonzo Thinks is a wide-ranging discussion where I touch on everything from politics, sports, music, current events, pop culture, you name it. If it's going down, I'm talking about it. Alright, it's been a crazy week and a half or so in the world, in the political world, in the world of activism and social media and all the craziness that surrounds what's going on in America right now, really ever since the inauguration or the election. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it seems like every week there's something new, a new hot button topic or issue that really gets people emotionally involved. And I'm no different from anyone else out there that has an opinion about all the things that are going on, especially when it comes to race relations and patriotism and all the things that surround it. You would think after Charlottesville happened that things may have tempered down a little bit and people may have started focusing more on unity and trying to work through our issues, but it seems it actually has had a reverse effect. It has emboldened the far right, and it has emboldened the left. And I think the lines are clearly drawn, and it's basically a new age civil war that's going on right now in America, and people are picking sides, choosing sides, and are not letting up, and being as opinionated and as staunch as I am, I guess I gotta choose my side as well. I guess I've already chosen my side, and people who know me know what side I'm on when it comes to all of these issues. But I'm going to just kind of jump into it and riff on my thoughts when it comes to the craziness of the last few weeks or months in the United States when it comes to politics, sports, and all that other bullshit that goes along with it. I guess first of all, I'll kind of jump in on a more personal note because just this past Saturday here in Fayetteville, Georgia, which is southwest of Atlanta, that's where I live, Fayetteville, Georgia. And Saturday night, myself and my lovely girlfriend were out for a night on the town, hanging out, doing what grown folks do, having a good time. Went out to a party, went out to a jazz bar and had a nice meal and listened to some nice music. So we're driving home, and we're close to home. And Fayetteville is a predominantly white area, kind of upscale in some areas. There's very little diversity in this city. And Fayetteville is probably one of the most Confederate cities in the state of Georgia. I think damn near every street, major street in this town has a Confederate name. You got Lee, you got Lee Street, you got Stonewall Jackson, which is right around the corner from me. And actually, where we live is like right off of Jefferson Davis Street. You got Lanier Street. I mean, a lot of these streets are named after Confederate generals and people who were attached to the Confederacy. So it's a very Confederate laden environment. And you can just tell by the tenor here in this area that there is a lot of, for lack of a better term, racism in this area. But you muddle through it. It's 2017. I'm black. I don't care. It don't bother me that much because I know ain't nobody fucking with me, because they fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with them. So that said, we're driving home. It's not even 11 o'clock yet. We're driving home, and we make a turn onto the main thoroughfare heading into the area where we live. And we get pulled over by a police officer, Fayetteville Police. And weren't speeding, might have been going maybe 10 miles an hour when we made that turn, and was just picking up speed, maybe 20, 30 miles per hour. Speed limit on this street, I think it's like 45 miles per hour. So we're definitely under the speed limit. And we see the blue lights behind us. And at first, my girlfriend was driving. And at first, she was like, they got somebody. And the light stayed behind us. I said, they got us. You need to pull over. And she's like, no, that's not us. I said, yeah, it's us. You need to pull over. So she pulls over. And of course, we do what we're supposed to do, especially as black people in Georgia. You're going to comply and make sure that, the number one priority is always to get home safe. So we're not going to do anything that's going to ruffle anyone's feathers and make sure that we don't escalate the situation, especially not knowing what's going on. So anyway, the cop approaches, and of course, he says the reason why I pulled you over is that your tail lights are out. And we're like, wait a minute, that's impossible. The lights work just fine. And of course, we didn't get out and see or anything like that. And obviously, we both stayed put. Cause I'm not going to jump out of the car and risk escalating the situation. But his car is brand new. I mean, it's only a few months old. And it's a sports car, convertible. It's a very nice car. Very nice car. And everything on the car works. I mean, like I said, it's brand spanking new. And so we were both kind of shocked as to the reason why he pulled us over. And he said, well, hit your brakes and hit your signal lights and everything. And we did that. And he said, well, yeah, your lights are out. And he took her license and information and said, hold on a minute, I'm going to check your information. So he goes and he does that. And probably about 5 minutes later, he comes back and gives us a warning and says, hey, you can go ahead and move on. Since you live so close by here, I'm not going to give you any trouble or anything like that. Just get home safe. And we said, okay, and we drove home. And keep in mind that the area that we live in is a pretty upscale area, and it's predominantly white. The subdivision that we live in and everything predominantly white. So anyways, so we get home and we look at the lights and everything. Everything works perfectly. There was no problem with the turn signal, backup lights, brake lights, nothing. Nothing was dysfunctional or anything like that. And I told her as we were leaving, we pulled off that was a bogus stop. He just he saw us, black people, in a nice car, in a nice neighborhood, and he's wanting to stop us and run our information and see, A, what the hell were we doing there, and B, if we had any warrants or anything like that. That's why he stopped us. And that bullshit excuse he gave us for stopping us was just a ruse that he could get away with, basically, because there's no way to prove that the lights weren't out. There's no way to prove that the lights were working perfectly. It could have been like a freak glitch or something that he saw. But it's kind of like a foolproof way to stop someone and harass them without actually harassing them. But yeah, it was harassment because he had no reason to stop us. There's nothing wrong with that car. I know it. She knows it. He knows it. He just wanted to run our information and find out what we were doing in that neighborhood at that time of night. And when he looked at and ran the information, see that we lived in the same neighborhood, not a half a mile away from where he pulled us over, then he let us go. Now, this is a situation that, if handled differently, could have gone in the wrong direction. We could have been belligerent. We could have demanded to see the lights and verify that what he said was true, or we could have questioned as to why he decided to pull us over when we did nothing wrong. There's a lot of different ways it could have went. But in light of everything that's happened with Philando Castile and Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin, Alton Sterling, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, we're very sensitive to that stuff. Me being a black man, I'm definitely sensitive to it. Definitely sensitive to it. And I'm not going to put myself in any type of jeopardy over something like that. I'm a father. I got 2 young children that I have to care for. I have a girlfriend that I love and I want to be with for a very long time, and hopefully eventually marry. And I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize my ability to be free and alive. So even though I was upset about it, you had to be smart about it as well, and just for lack of a, I guess, better term, take it on the chin and keep it moving. But it also enrages me that I felt like I had to take it on the chin. I think a lot of black men out there like me have been taking it on the chin, especially recently. And I feel pretty sure that if I were white, or we were white, we never gotten pulled over. I feel very certain about that. And it just bleeds into, the prevailing thought in America right now. It's not equal. There's not equal treatment. Even something as small as a traffic stop, it is not equal treatment. It doesn't feel equal. We didn't do anything wrong, but we're being detained, and we were having a good time, and it basically ruined the rest of our evening because we had to deal with this bullshit with this. I'm not gonna say he's a racist cop, but hey, if it quack like a duck, damn it, it might be a duck. It's just infuriating, especially as a black man, to have to constantly be on guard. You have to always put yourself in a position where someone's not going to hurt you and deprive your children of a father because they got some sort of hang up about you. And to me, that is why Kaepernick kneels for shit like this. It ain't got nothing to do with the flag, the military, or the national anthem. It's about bullshit like this that happens to black guys just like me across America every single day. It happens, and it's not going to stop happening until something makes us want to change. I don't know what that one thing is, but it has to stop. Or I think it's going to keep happening to where, some people who are less level-headed than myself might object and find themselves in a situation where they're handcuffed and slammed to the ground and being kicked and tased and shot and hung in their jail cells, and it made it look like a suicide. There's just so much to lose. And the thing is, if you're white, you don't have to worry about that. All these things don't have to go through your motherfucking head when you get pulled over by police. That's the thing. That's where white privilege comes in. And I posted something about this on Facebook, and one of my white friends on Facebook said you should have demanded that the cop justify his stop and shown you where the lights didn't work and all that kind of stuff. I said, yeah, you can say that because you're white. You can say, hey, officer, this is wrong, and I'm not going to stand for it, and not have to worry about getting your head beat in or shot. You can do that. That is white privilege. And this friend of mine was like, no, you got it all wrong. No, I don't have it wrong. It is white privilege, because just the fact that you have that thought in your head that you can do that shows the privilege that you have. You are given the benefit of a doubt as a white person, male or female, in the United States. For one, you wouldn't have been pulled over, and for two, if you did get pulled over and if you gave them hell, you're not going to be in danger of getting your ass shot off. And that's the fact of the matter. And can't nobody tell me any different. And if you do, you're stupid. But that is the prevailing tenor in this country right now. Now, on from that situation, I do see that Jemele Hill of ESPN has been suspended for 2 weeks by ESPN, and most likely her career is probably over there, because she encouraged Dallas Cowboy football fans to boycott the team and their sponsors, because Jerry Jones has emphatically said that any player on this team that kneels or disrespects the national anthem will not play. So basically, he's taking away the rights of his players for peaceful protests. And how many times do we have to say it until it sinks in? No one is disrespecting the national anthem or the flag or the military. It is a protest. It is a protest against unequal treatment in America to people of color. And Jerry Jones, being a white billionaire who owns a football team that is predominantly black, that the talent on this team that makes him so much money are black players. For him to mandate that is a slap in their face. Now he's going to put their livelihoods and jobs at jeopardy because he's 45's buddy who donated to his campaign and is clearly taking a stand against his players. Now, I don't believe for a minute that Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, Dez Bryant, Orlando Scandrick, and all those people, the top players on that team, if they kneeled, I seriously doubt they'd be suspended because you wouldn't win a damn game. And at the end of the day, he likes his money and he wants to win. So I would love for them to call his bluff. And I think Jamel was right. Boycott. If you want to take away the players' rights, boycott. And that bleeds into something else that I've spoken about before. The NFL is predominantly black. The top players in the league are black. It's a black-dominated sport. But the teams are owned by white men. The game's played by predominantly black players who dominate the game, who make the game as exciting as it is. And the NFL would not be able to field a team if every single black player decided to boycott. They absolutely positively could not play on Sunday if every black player on Saturday night said, hey, we're going to boycott. They would shut the NFL the fuck down. Well, even it doesn't have to be Saturday night. They can do it today. Because there ain't 22 talented enough white guys out there to play in the NFL. You can put them out there. It'll look like shit. It look like a JV game. Nobody want to pay money to see that. No sponsors want to sponsor that. The fans ain't going to come out and see, all white Dallas Cowboys versus all white Washington Redskins or whatever. Ain't going to happen. The league is almost devoid of white talent. You can probably name the top white players on one hand. You can count them on one hand. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and most of them quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, J.J. Watt, Jordy Nelson. Who else? See, it starts to get thin after that. Who else can you think of off the top of your head, a top-notch white player? You can't. But you can run off dozens and dozens of black players. When you look in the stands, you see those jerseys on those fans, those white fans, 99% of them black players. But what the black players are passionate about, nobody cares. The white players don't support them. The owners definitely don't support them. Because this whole kneeling thing, it's a black and white issue. The white folks are mad. The black folks understand. The white folks are mad. The black folks understand. You hear the black folks saying, well, you're disrespecting the national anthem and you're disrespecting the military. We know what it's about. It's the white folks who are the ones who are taking it and making it into something else. It's deflecting. They're turning it into something that everybody can rally behind. Because if you acknowledge the fact that there is inequality in the United States when it comes to minorities, then you're acknowledging the fact that there's white privilege. They're never going to do that. So it's always going to be a racially divided issue. It's the black players kneeling. The white boys ain't going to kneel. They're making their money off the sweat and tears of the black players. But they ain't going to kneel. Tom Brady ain't going to kneel. He done won 5 Super Bowls on the backs of black players. He ain't going to kneel. Drew Brees making millions and millions of dollars. Won them Super Bowl on the backs of black players. He ain't going to kneel. Aaron Rodgers ain't going to kneel. You name it, ain't going to do it. Meanwhile, Colin Kaepernick still out of work. But these crappy white backup quarterbacks getting jobs left and right. But people say, no, he's not being blackballed. Yeah, he's being blackballed. Big time. And it ain't going to stop. Mike Pence went to the Colts 49ers game and left because of the 49ers players kneeling. Good, Mike Pence, carry your ass. Nobody came to the game to see you anyway. You need to go back and get back on 45's Dilsnick. So his little show of I don't know what you want to call that. It I'm sure it made a lot of white folks happy. It emboldened once again that far right mentality, the supremacists. That's fine. We don't need him anyway. Mike Pence never scored a touchdown. Nobody give a damn if he's at the game or not. I certainly don't. And that takes us to what happened in Las Vegas and the fact that everyone is rallying and united, and they should be. Because what happened was tragic, and there's no positive spin that you can put on what happened in Las Vegas, because nobody deserves to die, especially in that manner. You're at a concert trying to have fun, listening to great music, because country music is great. I like country music, but you're there trying to have a good time, and especially in a town like Vegas where good times are permitted, and to get shot down like that, like, good Lord, like fish in a barrel. And it must have been terrifying. There is no positive spin you can put on what happened in Las Vegas. You can only pray for the families of the victims and hope that they find some sort of peace. And during that time of sorrow, but at the same time, you don't have to be blind. When you see the fact that who the shooter was, and if there was something different about the shooter, how differently this whole tragic event would have been spun into a different direction. I'm not afraid to say it. If the shooter was Muslim, it'll be terrorism. But the shooter was white, so he was just a deranged person. He was a deranged individual. It was an act of terrorism, pure and simple. If it was a Muslim who did that, folks would be ready to go to war. And well, they should be. They should. But since it wasn't a Muslim, who are you going to go to war against now? You're not going to go to war against gun laws. That's not going to change. They're just going to throw Chicago out there as their defense. Well, look at what's happening in Chicago. People getting shot in Chicago every day. Yeah, they are. They're not getting shot 50 at a time at a concert, though. Murder is a very personal crime. The victim usually knows their killer. And what goes on in Chicago, I'm not condoning what goes on in Chicago. It is horrific, and it needs to stop because it does paint us with a broad brush. It makes us all look bad. But, those shootings in Chicago are personal. It's get back. They're not going out randomly shooting people for the hell of it. You shouldn't shoot anybody no matter what. But that's what's happening in Chicago. But whenever anything happens, they try to spin it and turn it back on us and say, hey, look at what's happening in Chicago. Black lives must not matter because folks are getting killed in Chicago. Yeah, well, white folks get killed every day too by other white folks. So it's just not as publicized. There's more white people in America than black people. Therefore, just by law of large numbers, it's going to be more white murders versus black murders. But no murder is good. That's not a number that I'm proud of. No one should be proud of. Whether it's a low number, high number, it should be 0. But it is what it is. And it just crystallizes what is wrong with America. It is a racial divide. It's a racial divide that has gotten wider and wider and wider, especially since 45 stepped on the forefront and brainwashed all these folks into believing that he's in it to win it and not to lose. But I digress. This is what Lonzo thinks. Bye.